Alright, hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty. This is the third video of the Tornado Inquisitor Diary, and the video I'm making is because I've acquired two more pieces to the puzzle, so it's kind of worth going over what's happening. Although we're nowhere near complete, this is part of the diary, so this is where we're at. Now, I have my Kaom's Heart and I have my Wrathpith. Those are the two big stepping stones for going from the low to medium area of the build. Now, what Wrathpith gives me is 3,000 life, which in turn gives me large amounts of damage. My 3,500 tooltip becomes 4,600, of which the majority of my tooltip is coming from Wrathpith damage scaling. 5% spell crit per 100 life, 5% spell damage per 100 life. It gives me some blocks, spell block, life, and the downside being sacrifice 10% of your life when you use or trigger a spell skill. So what does this lend me to do? It makes it so I drop my setup for Immortal Call or Molten Shell. I drop my Frost Shield setup. You can manually use those things. I don't really think it matters, so I'm just dropping them. In lieu of that, I will have some extra slots, but for the moment I'm just running a level 1 precision. That's it. That's all I got at the moment. I just tossed level 1 precision in there. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. There's a couple things you could do with maybe Untouched Soul, or maybe using more Abyssal sockets, but for now that's it. My rares have basically maintained the same. I do have better wands, but I currently do not have the int to use them, but it's kind of moot, because you don't want to be using wands. You want to be running Sanctuary, which I don't have, to get a Darkseer, which I haven't gotten. I've done 11 Sanctuaries. At a roughly estimated 5% drop rate, it's going to take you basically 20 maps on average to get one. Then you have to hope they roll life, so I haven't gotten that. I have vowed around 30 honor homes, none of which have hit any of the +2s that I could use, which is very unlucky because I hit the +2s I can't use many times. But I'm still trying to get our what's it called? Jesus Lord? Crest of Desire from Heist. I've run about 150 Grand Heists. Amongst them, I found 5 Curio Case replacements. These two are placeholders for Iron Mass number 2 and 3 because I just didn't grab them. But I've seen 3 Iron Masses, an Actum, and a Font of Thunder, any of which could have been a Crest of Desire. So we're rolling the table quite frequently on that, which is exciting. So simply a matter of time before I have my Crest, and then I have to divine it to +8. Ironic because I actually pulled from a cheater card a 623 Awakened Added Fire, which the reason 6 is important is because when you put it in your honor home, it becomes 8, and if you had a fire corrupted honor home, it becomes 10, and at 10, the breakpoint changes over to where that +1 level of socketed physical skill gems becomes +2, so you get an extra one. So if you're using a 4-link helm that gives +4 to Fizzfire or any support generic, you can actually reach 10, and it gives +2, although I've heard that this is currently bugged and not giving you the extra gem level despite displaying it. Very fun. Okay, so for my flask setup, I don't really have them now because they're on a different character, but it doesn't matter, realistically, because I've gained so much damage and so much goodness that it really doesn't make much of a difference feel-wise, and I'm just using shitter flasks at the moment. I'll craft real flasks eventually, but the most important thing is, with Wrathpith and with Honor Home, I am resistance capped, which was quite a to-do. So I am at 80, 78, 78 with positive 42 chaos. God bless. My gear, mediocre. I have effectively 1, 2 dead stats on my gloves for prefixes. I just have Fire Leech and Unnerve. Those are still the things you want. I got Fractured Life, and it's hard to get Dex and double higher res. And my belt, eventually I'll drop for like a Mage Belt or Headhunter. But you know, we're just trying to get those really good pieces is tricky. It's really tricky. My amulet is new, and it's very good. I've got a different anointed, more defensive one and robust. It's a cheap option. So just having that's pretty nice. It's got good life. The mana, the evasion's worthless, but it's got all res, multi, and dex, so it's good. I have snagged myself luckily, I've snagged myself a Defiance of Destiny. Mine's perfectly rolled after some Divines. I might want to use this if I can't get a Replica Dragonfang. Obviously, it gives me nothing offensive, but it's just more defensive capabilities. So, you know, some extra cool things there. I'll have to solve my Dex problem, which I currently cannot It's a bit of an issue. If I get tier 1 decks like 60 here, it might be enough for maybe decks in a secondary ring, but as of right now, I just can't fit it in. But the plan is basically at the moment, keep running Sanctuaries to get Darkseer, and then keep running Grand Heist to get Crested Desire. Now, the big things I've gotten here are Wrathpith and Kaoms. That's why I can play the build more, although I'm still not really going to at the moment too much. I'd rather wait for those 2 extra things before I kind of full main the build. Those are 2 of the things I'm missing. Now, the way I got my Kaoms, just to go over it real quick, is pretty straightforward. I picked a map that I liked, i.e. Mesa for myself, because it's linked up to Jungle Valley, which are 2 really good maps to run altars on, because the boss is quick to kill in Mesa, and Jungle Valley, the boss doesn't spawn technically for altars, so you get the benefit of either Exarch altars, just rolling Quant. And I ran Lava Lake until I got a Nameless Seer, scryed those div cards, which have the Pride Before the Fall and King's Heart, both the Kaom's Heart cards, and also the Headhunter one technically, which I didn't see drop. I scryed those onto Mesa, then just farmed Mesa with Exarch, like a basic Exarch tree. This is like the one I use for Scarabs, but it's just basically, you could roll Scarabs, you could roll Map Effect if you want, and then you just roll Max Exarch or Eater, just your preference, just for more quantity, and I just grinded until I received enough card drops. There are Divination Scarabs. I didn't run any of them. Honestly, I just feel like they're not that beneficial. So I literally just put on half the time either Sack Frags for more quantity, or I put on Karto Scarabs to get more 8-mod maps. So I have a huge pile of 8-mod maps I can run comfortably. 404, gold not found, LOL. And then Wrathpith, I was just doing juiced exiling, but I tried to do Faustus gold gambling for Titanium Spirit Shields. After about 4 to 5 million gold, I kind of just gave up on that, but then I ended up getting it as a drop. It's again tier 2. They're both tier 2, so they're not that rare, but you could try a bunch of things, Bestiary, or you could do Riker Parandus and Betrayal. I've tried a bunch of things, none of them really worked out, so I went for a more guaranteed route for Kaom's Heart and the div cards, and I just happened to get lucky on the Wrathpith, although I do think I went unlucky overall, but I eventually got it. So now it's about doing Sanctuaries until I get enough, until I drop my weapon, and then doing, you know, the Fated End, what is it called? Crested Desire farm for my honor home. But yeah, I'll just shoot a shot in this video at running a Grand Heist. I've just got a 4-wing prepped here, although I've done, like I said, about 150 to 200 4-wings. Or maybe like 3 wings and 4 wings in combination. So for that, it's been like, you know, pretty decent attempt. I typically don't run RF when I'm doing Heist because you don't need the damage. And you can see my life pool dips 10% each time I cast. That's because of the Wrathpith, which is why I removed all the trigger stuff. I don't know if I'm going to add any of it back in, but I can. I can add it back in. My regen is now at, what is that, 3,000 life, 3,000 ES. So if my damage is split, you're looking at like 6,000 life regen between the two, which is very comfortable. So yeah, because you get more life, you just end up being way comfier. So having the Kaom's Heart is just huge for our comfort level. Aside from that, it's like trying to get a level 21 Tornado is very important. I have myself have spent at this point, I'm going to say, I've done 3 or 4 gems just through other characters in lab. None of them have changed. They've all just stayed exactly 2020. It's not like a high priority for me, but it's something that I'll definitely do once I do it. It's much more sense to do it through lapidary lenses when it comes to incursion, if you're going to try to make your 2020 gems, because you just have better odds, and then there's always the outcome you get a 21-23, which again, quality, it's all movement speed, not just damage, but movement speed, which is ultimately clear speed for Tornado, because that's just a priority, is how it clears. Yeah, I mean, you want to get that, you know, that's why Crested Desire is so desirable, pun intended, or, you know, having your Shaper Elder Archdemon Crown, which I will probably eventually transition into, but it's just like much lower priority, and I kind of want to enjoy the meme that is Crested Desire, so that's like #1 priority for me, is getting that. You can see it's like I have 1 Tornado still killing blue packs still in ID3 zones, no problem. I have done a couple of the new Invitation Incarnation bosses with this build at this level, and it felt okay, you know, it felt totally okay. I'm obviously still missing, again, 1 gem level from that, 2 more from Honor Home if Fire 3, and then 4th from the Awakened, technically, or Crest is way more, so there's lots of avenues for more damage if you want it. If you're looking for weapon upgrades, and you don't have the Darkseer yet, so doing something like Heist, like these weapons right here, they meant like this thing right there, that is probably an upgrade right there, that Infernal Blade. I don't have the dex to use it, but these sort of weapons are so common. in Grand Heist. You know, they're so fucking common that you'll end up finding stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this is like a really, really decent, serious item. So my crit chance currently, even though I'm still using crit strikes because my HP is a little bit on the low side, with Diamond Flask, you're looking at a 85% chance to crit. So if I had a little bit more life, you know, like a much more respectable life pool of like 15k, which again is really easy to get with Darkseer and just slightly better rares, my crit chance would be around 95% with crit strikes and like 85 something without, including diamond. You typically want to at that point transition off of crit strikes and either onto crit damage, or you could run something like Intensify in lieu of Conk Effect. You've got a couple options for gems. Honestly, none of them are like really monumental as far as the difference. I mean, Awakened Added Fire is obviously the strongest, but if you're running an Archdemon Crown, when you get minus support gems, it becomes a little bit worse, but still better than anything else. Currently just using, you know, a whatever belt I have found that basically just has open suffix to craft hybrid, res, chaos, and life. This is the type of thing that you would definitely want to toss a Hunter Orb on. If you want to farm one or just get one out, Hunter Orb is really strong. It has a chance of hitting 10%, I think it's 10 or 12% life. Like, my belt isn't catalyzed either, so there's like definitely a lot of, you know, min-maxing on the table, but without question, if you have the option to use a Mage Blood or Headhunter, those are, yeah, you want to use either of those. Aside from that, it's, you know, Rustic Sash, Leather Belt, you know, Abyss Belt, you know, Stygian, whatever. Like, any of those are totally acceptable. You're just looking for high life, high chaos res, any other applicable suffixes like Strength Int, those affect you because you have your crit stat balance when it comes to your Inquisitor. Like, I really want to get more in, so I can actually get higher crit strike chance from my Ascendancy. Well, it looks like no helmet this way, but we did get a Tempering Orb this, and then a Tailoring Orb the last, so that's pretty good for a Grand Heist. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. This is like the third update, where we've made some progress, and we've got a couple gear, but we still have a couple big things missing, so I don't think the next episode will be out until we have at least Darkseer and the helmet. And then we could use those to showcase some real content. Not just content to farm gear, but content to do gear. So we'll showcase then tier 17s, maybe some Uber bosses, things like that. Some much bigger content, much better stuff. And yeah, and then we'll get all of our quality on, all of our stuff divined and all, you know, prepped up and nice and primp and fancy. But this is like a good place where you could easily farm out, you know, that sort of stuff. And I could definitely start doing 17s, no problem with this sort of gear. So yeah, that'll be the next stage. So I'll see you guys for the next video, update number 4, and that'll be out whenever I make that progress. Okay, I'm Mathew Lighty. Have a good day. Bye-bye.